just still despondent, what do you suggest he do?
What do I suggest that the bird do to improve her despondency? I think it is my sense from reading that book that the bird's despondency is kind of a inherent feature of her personality that's unchanging. I think some people usually are either happy people or sad people, or somewhere on a spectrum, and that their circumstances don't change that at all. Are you generally a happy person or a sad person?
I believe I am generally a happy person.
Really? All the time?
Not all the time, but generally.
I would think if it was all the time, it would get a little dull.
Being optimistic all the time.
Well, you didn't say optimistic, you said happy. Sad people could be optimistic. You could constantly be saying, life is hardly worth living, and I'm weeping almost all the time, but I think it will get better tomorrow. That would be a sad and optimistic position at the same time. Also, if you felt that way all the time, it would get exhausting, in my opinion. Sorry, we've strayed from the question, because I got interested in other things.
Okay. Next, my sister has a question for Lisa Brown. Maybe would you like to ask her?
If you could be any character in your book, what would you be?
In the Vampire Boy book, I think I would be Morgan the Witch, because I always liked witches. And when I was, from the time I was about 2 years old to the time I was about 12 years old, I always dressed up as a scary witch for Halloween. So I like scary witches.
And you've done it since then, too. You didn't stop at all.
No, I continue to dress up as a scary witch on a regular basis.
For Halloween.
How about this?
For Halloween.
And other occasions, randomly.
For Halloween.
Yeah.
I guess this Halloween too, I guess.
Yeah, actually, this Halloween I'm going to dress up as Morgan, the witch from the book.
Ooh, cool. What about the boy Bella?
I am only going to dress up as Morgan.
That would be a little hard, just
As both.
Amanda?
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Hendrick.
Yes.
Do you ever use your own life experiences in books, like altered in some way? Unfortunately.
Well, I think probably all authors use some form of some experience of their lives in the books, right? Because if you're writing about, say, a cruel and terrible person, the only experience you would have of that would be cruel and terrible people in your own life. You don't usually have to do research about that. You don't have to say, I've heard there are cruel and terrible people, but thank goodness I've never met any of them. You say, oh yeah, there was that guy. I'm not referring to a guy in your life because I don't know that much of your life, but I would imagine, for instance, that when I say that guy and I refer to a cruel and terrible person, you can immediately think of someone. You don't have to share it with me, I understand. It's your private life. But I guess the point is that I think everybody has experiences that end up in the books that they write. Or if they don't write books, then they just end up thinking about them. Sometimes all the time. Well, not all the time, but sometimes frequently.
Perry?
I have a question for Mr. Hendrick.
Okay.
What inspired you to write 13 words?
What inspired the book 13 Words? I think the idea that there were certain words that people don't use enough, and then other words that people don't think of enough. I could demonstrate if you gave me the copy of that book.
The book.
Not of your notebook. Although I'm very curious. Now I wish that I played along to that second and said, yes, it's very important that I read that notebook of yours instead of this book, which I've read on a number of times. But, for instance, where's a good one? Haberdashery. I think not enough people know what a haberdashery is, or not enough people think about it, or think about a world in which a haberdashery would look as exciting as it does here. So I thought it would be appropriate for there to be 13 words that people would be interested in. Or, words that you haven't considered in a different context. Like baby is a word that everyone knows, but most people don't know a baby who actually runs a retail establishment. So I thought it would be interesting. I think it's interesting in a book to have unusual things happen to things that are familiar. Like, I don't know if you would know any babies, but probably any babies that you know are not running a store and helping people try on hats.
Alex?
Now I need to see your notebook.
Well, there's this one question
Also, I need the key to your house so I can go to
Can I ask the question?
Sure.
If encountered with a baby-owned haberdashery,
Yes.
what type of hat would you purchase?
Well, I don't think I would look good in a hat that you're just gesturing towards.
Try
Okay.
it. You're right, you don't look good at all.
No, I don't think so. I think I would find a kind of gray formal hat with a brim. I like fairly muted, ordinary colors on men hats, and more colorful, exciting colors on female hats. Well, not female hats, but hats that are not females. The hats
So you're
themselves could be boys
sexist.
or girls. No, I don't. I wouldn't call that sexism.
Okay, Michael. Do Spanish have female hats? I know that Spanish have different sexes, chairs, kitchens.
I know a French hat is male.
I don't know the Spanish word for hat. I don't know the Spanish word for most things.
Amigo's a friend. Yeah.
I guess if you were so close to your hat you considered it a friend, you could call it an amigo or an amiga. So then you would choose whether it was a boy hat or a girl hat.
Sombrero.
Well, sombrero is a kind of hat, but I don't think sombrero is the Spanish word for hat. I
He
think
could talk
sombrero
about-
is the Spanish word for sombrero.
Hats all day, so I think we should move on.
It's true. I like talking about hats.
I have this book and there's a bunch of quotes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was flipping through it and I saw a bunch of ones about morning and making choices.
Yes.
Does this mean like you're not a morning person? Because I said like on one that making decisions in the morning is hard, especially when someone is yelling at you.
I think that's true. Making decisions in the morning is hard, especially when someone's yelling at you. But no, I'm actually in general a morning person. What about you?
I like sleeping.
You like sleeping in?
I can wake up after a little bit though.
I like to wake up in the morning. I really like to wake up in the morning when no one else is awake. I find that fun.
That is pretty fun.
But I'm married to a woman, this woman in fact, who really does not like to wake up in the morning. Sometimes she begs and begs. She thinks desperately of reasons to stay in bed. I'll say it's time to get up, and she'll say the clock is wrong, and I'll say the clock isn't wrong, and she says, but I should sleep for a few more minutes because it's good for me. Please, please, please. And sometimes she'll make a complete fool of herself.
Yes.
It's a relief to get this off my chest and let the world know.